Okay. Evaluating without a calculator. This is going to feel very similar to yesterday, but a couple of add-ons. We have functions. F at theta is given, G at theta is given, and then you're asked to find F at this, G at this. When it says F at 180, you are looking at the F function, and what are you doing with the 180? We're rusty. Okay, commercial break. If I say f of x equals x plus 2, and I ask you to find f at 3, what do? Plug in 3 for x, and so you get 3 plus 2, and then the answer is 5, right? Okay, so let me try that question again, back up here. If it says f at 180, what do? Plug in 180 for what? For theta, and so that is represented as what? Sine of 180. Does everybody understand what that looks like there? Bring down a plus sign, because now we're going to do G at negative 135. What do I do with that? G at something, plug it in for theta, but in the G function this time. So what does that look like? Tangent of negative 135. Okay, so pause there for a moment. You need to understand that step. You're looking at the F function and plugging in 180 to that. You're looking at the G function and plugging negative 135 in for that. Does everybody understand that step? Okay, now we move forward and we find these things. This is going to feel more like yesterday. Could you please point to 180? Yep, it is quadrantal and it's over here. And what do I need to use for that? What is it called? Unit circle. I need to know what that point is right there. Can you tell me what that point is? Negative 1, 0. Very good. And then I haven't asked you this since before the break. Who remembers? What is the order? Cosine, sine. Cos always goes with x. Sine always goes with y. Hold on to that nugget. It's going to come back on the back page. So if I ask you for the sine of 180, what do you say? 0, because it's the second number. Bring down the plus sign. Now we're going to work on the tan negative 135. This is almost like a whole nother problem. And then at the end, we put them together. Negative 135. What quadrant do I land in? 3 is correct. It is negative, which tells me to go down 135 degrees. And what is the reference angle for that? 45 is correct. Remember that the instructions say without a calculator. So what kinds of reference angles should you be getting? Special, right? 45, 30, 60, etc. The only other things would be your quadrantals, which is like the 180. Okay. I need to turn that 45 into a what? Triangle by drawing to the x-axis. And what numbers do I need to put in? 1, 1, radical 2. Very good. It's a 45, 45 triangle. And don't forget, all students take calculus. Thank you. The most forgotten part of trig. Now we're ready to answer the question. We're about to find the tangent of that. In that quadrant, tangent is positive or negative. Which one? Positive. So the positive is good. Now I need the TOA part. What will that look like? Just 1. Yep, 1 over 1, which is just 1. And then the final answer is 1. We'll do it again. Give you another chance at it. But that's the idea. Okay, let's look at number 2. Let's start the process over again, starting with the functions. If it says f at 510, what does that look like? Applying the f function. Tangent of what? 510. Good. Bring down a plus sign. And how about g at 240? What? Cosine 240. Any questions on the function part? Because if you don't do that, if you can't do that, then you're stuck. You have nothing to stand on here. Okay. All right. What do you notice about 510? Yeah, it goes all the way around. It's higher than 360. How much higher than 360 is 510? You might need a little calculator help on this. How much? How much? 150. So if we're going an additional 150 degrees, what quadrant do I land in? Second quadrant. Very good. If I've gone an additional 150, what is the reference angle? 30. Draw the triangle to where? X-axis. And what do I write across from 30? 1. Across from 60? Hypotenuse. And don't forget, thank you. We're a little bit in the struggle bus with that today. There's a reason I say don't forget it, because everybody does. All right. Now we are in the second quadrant taking the tangent. What does that mean? It's going to be negative. So I'm going to start with a negative, and then I'm looking for the TOA on that. What will that one end up being? Radical 3 over 3. Yes, because it is 1 over radical 3, which we are ready to just turn straight into radical 3 over 3. Bring down the plus sign, and we'll begin the whole thing again with a new angle. 240 degrees. What quadrant do we land in? The third quadrant. Very good. How much past 180 is 240? 60. Very good. That's our reference angle. Taking off the 180. Draw the triangle to where? To the x-axis. What do I write across from 30? 1, which is up top here. Across from 60? Radical 3. Hypotenuse. And don't forget, good. We're about to take the cosine in that quadrant. What will it be? Negative. So begin our answer on this one with a negative, and then I need the SOHCAHTOA on that. 1 over 2 is correct. 1/2 adjacent over hypotenuse. Good. And we've done many problems like this in the past where you don't stop at the 2 separate terms. We have to combine to 1 fluid term. What is the LCD? 6. Good. I'm going to start with a negative for that first term. And what does the radical 3 turn into when I get the LCD? 2 radical 3, because we're multiplying by 2. Also, this positive and negative is going to make what? Negative, so just write minus. And then what does the 1 turn into? A 3. And that is how you express your answer as 1 single term. Are we catching on? What's going on in these problems? Get the graph, get the reference angle, the triangle, all students take calculus, blah, blah, blah. Okay, please join me on the back page where there is a completely different kind of problem that I'd like to review with you. Could we get several calculators out and going here? This is a calculator heavy problem, and I don't want to waste time. I want to just crank out these numbers as quickly as we can and efficiently, but I don't want the calculator part to slow us down. We are finding the resultant. The resultant is actually a fancy word for the sum, because the resultant is the answer to the sum. If you remember, if I say the word equilibrant, that was another word in this lesson. That was another step. That was on top of the resultant. We are not doing that on these, just the resultant. Does anybody remember what the first thing you have to do to this problem is? I know it's been a minute. You have to convert to the I hat and J hat, correct? In order to add them, you have to add the I hats and the J hats. So we're about to have a whole bunch of numbers here that we're just cranking out, where to find the X, which is the I hat, what trig function goes with X? Cosine. So we write 4 cos 150. And then for the Y, what goes with Y? Sine. So we need to crank these out. Does anybody have the cosine? We're going to round to 2 decimals as it says. Negative 3.46. Verify. Thank you. I will be verifying, making sure we're getting the right answer. And then how about the sine? Anyone? 2? 2 even? Thank you. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead to the other one as well, and then we'll write the answers from this. We're going to have the X on this one be 3 cos 20, and then the Y being 3 sine 20. Like so. So I'll take those numbers. 2.82 for the cos. Verify on the 2.82. Thank you. And the sine. 1.03. 1.03. Okay. And so then after you get those values, we are going to write them as the I hat, J hat, like so, where we're putting them in like that. And then also the following one as well. And after you get them into I hat, J hat, what do you get to do? You're just adding them together. Give you a second to get that written down, and I'll get answers from this. You can see how this is just a calculator heavy problem. Now, we do have to convert it to a polar coordinates, so we've got a little extra work, but really it's just a lot of calculator cranking out numbers. All right, I'll take a sum when you're ready. Anyone have the I hat number? Negative 0.64. Yes, thank you. Negative 0.64 I hat. And then the J hat is easy. That is 2.03. We can do that without a calculator, like so. I'm sorry, 3.03. 3.0. Sorry, I didn't add the 2. Anyway, yeah. I had the 2, but I didn't add the 1. There we go, 3.03. Now we have to convert to polar. So now for the second half of the problem, but you've been doing this even longer than the other. How do I begin the rest of the problem? What would you do next? Graph it. Yep, we need to draw a graph. For the 0.64, which way am I going? Left. And for the 3.03, which way am I going? Up. And I am exaggerating the 0.64 because I need to have something to look at. It's very small. I need 2 lines. Where is the first line drawn from? The point to where? To the origin. Very good. And where do I need the second line to? The x-axis. Very good. To turn it into a triangle. What is the base of that triangle? 0.64. And what is the height of the triangle? 3.03. What do I need to find for polar coordinates? The Pythagorean theorem to find the hypotenuse. I'm going to call it R, where R squared is equal to 0.64 squared plus 3.03 squared. And then we also learned, how do I get R alone? square root. So when you put this on your calculator, you're doing this in one shot of the square root of all of those terms. So could somebody please give me one final answer for R? One more time. Louder. 3.1, 2 decimals, please. 3.10. Is that what I'm hearing? 3.10. Make sure we're rounding correctly. Make sure we know how to round. So if you are required to round to 2, you need to put the 0 on there. And then what other piece is missing? What do I need to find now? The angle. And what do I use to find the angle? I'm running out of colors that show up on here. I'll try this green if you can hear. Inverse tan, I heard it, thank you. To find A, we're going to take the inverse tan of what? OA is your hint. 3.03 over 0.64. Very good. The opposite over the adjacent, which is 3.03 over 0.64. All right, we're in a round to 2. Again, we're very close to being done. What do we get for that angle? 78 point what? 07? 78.07, thank you. Okay, now for the final answer, we're going to have the 3.10 for the R, but 78 does not go in that line because what do I have to give it from? Well, kind of from 0, right? We have to give it from 0 degrees. So we need to come around. What is the math that we're doing to get that number? Not plus 90. That would be as if you were finding that angle, but we're not finding, we don't have that angle. 180 minus the 78 angle. So can we do 180 minus answer if you have that on your calculator still? And what do we get? 101.93. Sounds good. Thank you. 101.93. Don't forget your degrees symbol. And that's your answer. And remember that on these problems, we only give the one form, not 4, not all 4 forms. It's just one. Okay, so that's the other thing we're referring. There's only 3 of those, so you only have 2 more of those longer ones. And then you got the front page remaining ones as well. Are there any questions? Okay. All right. All right, that's that.